to everyone once again. Right, today we're going to do two suttas, two short ones. They're very closely related. In fact, they have the same title. Jiva Kambhavana Sutta 1 and 2. That is chapter 14 and 15. ST 44.14 and point 15. Jiva Kambhavana. Jivaka is the name of the Buddha's doctor. Okay? Jivaka is a very famous figure in Thailand. He is a sort of patron saint of traditional medicine, if you like. So he is the archetypal doctor, if you like. You know, he's kind of like the first Indian doctor, so to speak. And he has attained some levels, at least string winning. And he takes care of kings, and of course the Buddha is a surgeon he cuts up people and so on. Ambhavana means mango grove. Literally it's mango forest, but here mango trees normally they are cultivated and belongs to Jivaka. Amba means mango, Vana means, in this case, grove. Usually we can translate as forest. And then Sutta 1, Sutta 2. Sutta 1 is S35.160. Sutta 2 is S35.161. There is an alternate title. The Sutta 1 is called Jiva Kambhavana Samadhi Sutta. So that's the theme. The first Sutta, Samadhi, in other words, deep meditation. And the Sutta 2 is the Jiva Kambhavana Patisalana Sutta. Patisalana means solitude. So if you can't meditate, there is this practice of solitude. So there are two aspects to mental training, if you like. So these two suttas, in other words, are practice sutta. Now, whenever we study Buddhism or we listen to a talk, it's very helpful if we remind ourselves we don't really listen to the sutta to know things. Or, well, if you like to use the word know, you can say we study the suttas to know ourselves, if you like. There is a very interesting difference between knowing and feeling. Knowing and experiencing, if you like. Okay, I often use the word feeling for what we normally would use experiencing. Experiencing is quite a big mouthful. It's Latinism, it's a Latin word. When you study the Dhamma, you find you go back to the original simplicity of words. The highest and deepest experiences of the Dhamma is always simple. There is a simple word for it. So, for example, if you want to know how someone feels, that's what you ask. You say, how do you feel about this? Even when you ask an opinion, you say, how do you feel about this? And we can also ask, what do you think about it? So you notice it's very interesting overlapping of two apparently opposing words, thinking and feeling, but they mean the same thing when we talk. And this is a very important aspect of language. Meanings overlap. In many ways, words do not have inherent meanings. There's no such thing. It's just like saying everything happens for a reason. It's a meaningless statement. Unless you qualify by saying, who gives the meaning? We are the ones who give it meaning. We are the ones who give it reason. Is it? So we give meaning to words, we give meaning to, we give reasons to things. Right? For example, if someone falls down, Buddhist A will say, oh, bad karma. Right? Because the person didn't donate enough money maybe, so fell down. Number two will say, oh, he's not mindful. We should practice more meditation. Number 3 will say, oh, the floor is uneven. Right? So you have different reasons for an event. Okay? So what about words? We give meanings to words. Of course, there is going to be a problem. What's called enemy. No one can understand what you're talking if everybody defines their own words. But actually, that's what's happening. That's why we don't understand people. They use words with their own ideas at the back of their head. So we always ask them, what do you mean? It's very important. What do you mean? Someone can say, there are these movie stars, singers who say, I love you. They tell the whole crowd, thousands of them, by their heart they say, I hate you. So many of you have to sing to you. Now what I mean, of course, it may not be so bad, but sometimes we don't really mean the words we say. So in other words, we've got to ask ourselves, what's the meaning of this word? Right? Now, English tries to be more defining, definite. Certain words, we try to be accurate. English tries to be that. When we come to a point where we are so accurate, then we say it's technical terms. Technical terms, why do we have technical terms? Technical terms are words which are very fixed in meaning. It's very important for measuring things, for scientific study. Even in the arts, you need to measure, like in music, even dancing, you need to balance yourself and so on. And so music, you have measurements, right? So you need that. These are technicalities. Right? But the other aspect of us, the more daily aspect of us, the part that actually liberates us cannot be measured. So in other words, we define the words. That is why you have in the famous pericope, the stop passage on the Buddha's teaching, it is said that the Dhamma is given to us in the letter, in the spirit and in the letter. Atta Vyanjana. Right? There is the word and there is the meaning. We have to understand it. So we hear the suttas and we understand on the word level. Okay, there are these 5 senses, eye, nose, tongue, body, mind, and then you have the 6 senses plus the mind. Oh, we know that very well. And yet we're not enlightened. But today we're going to look deeper into these 6 senses and their various aspects in our experience as a living being. You have 4 categories or configurations. Alright? So, before I go into this, let me just go a bit more about the nature of language, which is very interesting when Pali is concerned. So I was mentioning just now in English, we try to be very exact with our words. In a sense, we do succeed. But this success is costly because it's very difficult to use English words to translate the Pali accurately. And this is where you begin to know whether the translator actually experiences the suttas or not. In fact, it's come to a point where I mentioned that there are 2 kinds of translation. There is the commercialized translation or commercial translation, published in very nicely bound books and sold at a great profit for the authors. They can be very useful, but it can also be a bit difficult to use because of they are very technical. On the other hand, there is what's called the living translation. That is you translate the suttas as practice. You study the suttas as practice. That's what suttas are for. Then you experience the suttas. You live the sutta. In other words, you may study the sutta one time and after you have to study again. And as you grow older, you study again. And you find the meanings become clearer. Nothing has changed. Only you change. Your perception changes. This is what suttas does to us. The suttas are like guideposts, telling us at which point are we in certain times in our life. Do we really understand all these teachings? The words are so simple, but people quarrel over them instead of freeing themselves. from suffering. So this sutta today is a very simple sutta. These two suttas, they are about the five senses plus the mind, the six senses. So this is where we have numbers today. We find, we can talk about the five senses. In Pali it's called Panchindriya, Pancha Indriya. These are the five sense faculties, the five physical senses. They're not mentioned very much because the six senses are more useful. Okay, so you have the Salayatana. Okay, I've written in Sanskrit, but it's not Pali. Yeah, sorry, it is Sanskrit. I should write the Pali. Pali is an L with a dot. So, the original word, Pali word for six is cha, but when it is used as a prefix, it becomes sa. Okay, don't ask me how. We like to ask driver question. The teacher said, "Don't ask me how." That's the way the Damirians have put it. That's language. Language will have their quirks, they have their exceptions. Right? So there you are. Language has exceptions. So in Pali, a lot of exceptions. So this what makes the language very interesting. This is language of experience. It's not a machine language. It's not technical language. Although later parts of Buddhism can be. Pali has got a feature called polysemy. Polysemy, that means one word has many meanings. It's like a many-sided shape. You can fit in a lot of things around. And this gives the teacher a lot of latitude, we say, when the teacher describes the nature of the mind, for example. The word consciousness, for example, has different levels of meaning. The word mind has different levels of meaning. So you can imagine the difficulty when you translate into English, because Pali is flexible, polysemic, but English is, the meaning can be fixed. So this is something we have to remember when we read Pali translations. The reason for this sort of flexibility is because we are talking about experience. Experience is flexible, changing. We are not talking about fixed things. Everything is changing, flowing. So it's got to do with the teaching of impermanence also. So having said that, you can see the basic structure of the sutta that I've written on the board, the six senses. So you have the six senses, salayatana. Ayatana means sense bases. Right? Then you have the six internal sense bases. Six internal sense bases, first column, aya, nose, tongue, body. That's mind, six senses. Of course, we all know very well, eye, nose, tongue, body is another way of looking, it is the analytical way of looking at our body. But always remember, when we talk about the body in early Buddhism, it is always the conscious body. Or in Pali we say, savinyanaka kaya, the conscious body. It's not the dead body. Because dead body is nothing much to talk about. It's four elements. We're talking about the conscious body because this conscious body is the vehicle of awakening. That's why we have to understand it, right? So we have the six senses, six internal senses. Sometimes it's called internal senses, and then the six external senses. So the eye, the external sense is form, visible form, shapes. And then you have sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thoughts. I've used a simple word thoughts. There are quite broad translation. We use the word thought to represent the mental processes. So you have the six external senses now. Alright? Six external senses. So together you have 12. The 12 senses. Do you have actual 12 senses there? Okay, there you are. Dwadasa Yatana. Dwadasa means 12 senses. 6 internal, 6 external. And then you notice there's another column, the third column. What is the heading in the third column?
Consciousness.
Consciousness. How does this work? Okay, I have this eye faculty, it must functioning. It's called faculty because it's located in my body. You can't just take an eye like that, the eye doesn't see. Right? It is the eye faculty that sees. So Buddhism is so exact here, see, Buddhist psychology. So the eye is in the socket in my skull, and everything is functioning well. If I close my eyes, I can't see. If I'm not conscious, I will see also. So consciousness here is not the normal big idea of consciousness. It means attention. Attention. Okay? So I have this functioning eye, there is an object out there, and there is this attention, that's consciousness. So this is a triangle. Okay? It's very easy. You draw this triangle, eye, form, consciousness. Consciousness means you pay attention. This I call the three, what they call triangle of experience, if you like. Once you have these three conditions, number 4 arises. What is number 4? Contact, phassa. Now this sounds almost futuristic, you know. You hear the pilot saying, yes, I have visual contact, as if flying saucer zooming by. It's visual contact. Eye contact, that means you see something. This is the 4th aspect. Eye, faculty, form, attention, contact. That means there is this sensation or this experience of seeing, eye contact. Then there is ear contact. That means there's ear, sound, consciousness. The sound makes an impact on the sense of ear faculty. So imagine the ear with all the cochlea, incus malleus stapes, and the channel and the pinna and so on and so on. Everything must work in a kind of as a set, so to speak. And of course, behind all this, the mind. So you have ear contact. Then the tongue has got lots of little buds on it, and then you taste food. There is tongue contact. It's a Pali term. After this, it sounds a little funny in English. Okay, eye, ear, nose, tongue. Okay, body contact, not too bad. Okay, here body contact doesn't mean one body touches another body, although that may happen. But rather here, contact. It is a technical term in a sense. Yeah, when some kind of force or molecules, if you like, touches your body, you feel. Use the word you feel. That's body contact. Oh yeah, I missed out nose contact. Okay, right? You start thinking of New Zealand when you talk about nose contact. Or the Eskimos and nose contact. As Eskimos greet each other by touching each other's noses. But that's not what it's meant. It's not a cultural thing. Yeah, nose contact means the faculty of the nose, senses, olfactory action. And that's the sense of smell. Simple English. Yeah. So you got nose contact, tongue contact, body contact, and then mind contact. Of course, thoughts have an impact on your mind. So this is the 4th. We have altogether the 24 elements. They are called elements. Dhatu. So you can see all these psychological terms are very important in early Buddhism. Not many other religions have this kind of arrangement, right? You know, there are some of these very biased Western scholars. They look at Buddhism, they look at the Dhammapada, they say, oh, you know, these poems are all very boring, they're not really as interesting as the Western religion and so on. But they're so used to the idea of literature and poems, they're judging by Western standards. What they don't realize is the Eastern philosophy, especially Buddhist teachings, it's not merely about entertaining people, putting beautiful words together and making people happy, but then that's you end there, so that's all. I mean, to me, these words are beautiful because they're like signposts, they point to something beautiful. So when you understand all these 6 senses, 12 sense spaces and so on, you feel joyful. So the joy is not in the words themselves, the joy is in the spirit of the teaching. And this is something the scholar often misses. And the good scholars can see this also, the spirit of the teaching. So this is where we today can know whether a scholar is really good or not, especially when he teaches talks about Buddhism, he writes books about Buddhism. There's a lot of money to be made. With Buddhism today, there's so many Buddhist books, there's so many new books coming out, people are recommending me these books, even books on meditation. So, it's not that these people are experts, there's money to be made in this case. So, we have to be wise in choosing these things. Right? Anyway, coming back to all this, so you have 6 times 4, 24 elements of our human experience. And this is what we're going to look at today by way of practice. And this is the kind of practice that can bring you nearer to awakening if you choose to focus yourself, to inspire, to streamline. This is what the teaching is about. It's not just coming here and you know something, you know a little bit more, and you go back and say, oh, I know this. Knowledge is a burden. You have to unburden yourself with this knowing. It's just like you can say, I know how to drive, but you never drive. Or I know how to cook, but never cook, because you go hungry. Or I know how to dance, and never dance, and whatever. So what I'm saying here is, we know something good, and we do it. You have to do it. You have to use it. You have to put it into effect. That is called living, right? Living also means you make mistakes. It's a very important part of living. You don't make mistakes, you don't learn. That is why the first noble truth is about suffering. It means you never get the answer right away. It's like some kind of test you must go through, some kind of challenges you must face. And the more such challenges you face, the more you learn. For example, on Facebook, I thought, we have this group of really interesting international group of thinking people. Maybe they can contribute some wonderful ideas and solutions to our problems. So I just put a picture of some controversial event there, and then I face my karma. People start quarreling and fighting and scolding each other, and you see all the dark sides coming out. I said, oh my goodness, I thought they were clever people, I thought they were compassionate people, I thought they know how to solve problems, but we have suddenly turned to little minions, those minions in Despicable movie. We started fighting and knocking each other, and it was funny to me. Luckily I had this sense of humor, I have to laugh. I tell myself, look, what has happened to us, And they expect me to give answers on the spot, Where did the Buddha say this? Did the Buddha say this? So, one thing you must never forget, the Dharma is only presented to you when you respect the Dharma. If you are angry or you are hateful or lustful or confused, it's difficult. The teacher will not answer your questions. And then this student, this troll, there's a nice word for it, it's called a troll. He will say, oh, you know nothing, and so, wonderful, So I to myself, wow, we're not ready to solve problems. So we do what we can, not what we cannot do. So this is when you've got to take a step back and ask yourself, what is the right thing that I should do? So these 2 suttas give us that chance to reflect on the Buddha's teaching directly with what we are. Right, so let's look at the first sutta, page 158, is it correct? 156. 156, yes, sir.
Well, ours is 156.
Okay, 156. No, go to 157 at the bottom. Can you see the first Jivaka's mango grove discourse?
Yes.
Alright. At one time, the Blessed One was staying in Jivaka's mango grove outside Rajagaha. There, the Blessed One addressed the monks, Bhikshus, Bhante. The monks replied in essence to the Blessed One. I'd like you to imagine whenever you read the suttas, the Buddha says, Bhikshus, so this very calm, single voice, and then the monks respond, Bhante. Very beautiful, actually. And then the Buddha states the thesis, section 3. Cultivate samadhi, bhikshus. True reality, bhikshus, is visible or clear to the one with samadhi. Okay, just a bit of correction then. Cultivate samadhi, bhikshus. True reality is visible to the one with samadhi. Right? Then the Buddha explains what this means. So these two suttas are very similar, only different is this particular line. Now you look at the next sutta, you look at section 3. What does the Buddha say there? Everything is the same. Here the Buddha says in the second sutta, cultivate devotion to spiritual solitude, bhikshus. True reality, bhikshus, is visible or clear to one in solitude. There's a slight change to the translation. So, let me tell you the difference between the two. Right? Samadhi means meditation, concentration. Concentration means you focus, your mind is here with the suttas, with the Dhamma. And then you go into deep meditation. And then you come out with meditation, you can see reality before you. Right? So this is the use of meditation. Here the Buddha used the word true reality. Now notice the sentence again. True reality is visible to the one with samadhi. When your mind is truly focused, then you see true reality. Here the true reality is going to be presented to us in 6 ways. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. So, true reality is the experience of the 6 senses. Now you notice the heading I've given there is perception of impermanence, right? Let's look at it. Now you can number these sections 1 to 6 if you like. That's all the sutta is, no? 3.2. And what true reality does he discern? So now the Buddha defined what is meant by true reality here. True reality is visible to him thus. The eye is impermanent. True reality is visible to him thus. Form is impermanent. True reality is visible to him thus. I consciousness is impermanent. True reality is visible to him thus. Eye contact is impermanent. So this is the first part. Now look at the structure here. On the left side, the words are all the same. That is why I labeled them in 2 columns. Everything is repeated. True reality is visible to him thus. Notice the word visible. This is no ordinary Pali word. In fact, this is the first place I discovered this term, the Pali word. You know what's the Pali word here for visible? Can you guess? Oh, this one, I remember those days in the US, I always ask this question, and everybody would suddenly look down and look at me. And I say, look at the footnotes. They look at the footnotes. Okay, what would you say? Yeah? Okayati. Okay? Okayati. Yeah. Okayati has got a broad sense of meaning. This is what I mean by the polysemy of Pali. So, okayati can mean appear to you, you see it in your mind, you understand it. So it's got a range of actually seeing and also understanding. So we can say it's clear to you, appears to you, you see it that way, okay? So here I've used simply say visible to you. And notice here, visible also is something almost passive, you know. So what the Buddha is saying, if you calm your mind, you meditate, that kind of mind with that kind of mind, it's easier to see impermanence. You don't have to make any effort. It will come to you. The vision comes to you. That's why we say, oh, I see. Huh? And what do you see? Okay, notice the column on the left are all the same, okay? True reality is visible to you. Right? Instead of him, I say you, okay? Number one, the I is impermanent, okay? So the I is the faculty is impermanent. Oh, I know that very well. The doctor said my right eye has degraded by 20%. It sounds so scary. I said, oh, is it bad? He said, oh, it's not that bad. Okay, very good. As long as, normal. Normal means the norm. The norm is suffering. And then, the problem with, I try very hard to not to miss putting my eye drops, And there's a sequence, but the problem is so many eye drops, so many pills to take when you age, you forget some of these things. So I have a sequence, a very complicated sequence. I use my phone will buzz off, and then I put it in a certain position. I know I've not put my eye drop yet. Despite that, I'll forget. So I look at my monthly chart. I record them. So I look at my monthly chart. Last month, for example, I forgot to put my second eye drop 4 times. But fortunately, it's not too bad. I have another person I know who comes for my Tuesday class at a person's house. He totally forgot to put his eye drop, and he's going blind. So you can imagine how terrible it is. So we can forget, we're not mindful. So the eye is changing. How precious eyes are. So it's impermanent. We've got to accept that, right? Number 2, the reflection is form. It's also impermanent. Eye and then form. Form changes, so we reflect that way. It's a very wonderful reflection here. And number 3, eye consciousness is impermanent. Why? This attention goes elsewhere. It jumps about 6 different places. Alright? And then it can go to the past, present, future. So, wow, 18 possibilities you have to deal with. And then eye consciousness is impermanent. Right? So this eye consciousness is the attention actually, right? And then eye contact, right? So we move our eye here, there, right? The roving eye, right? So again, we take in different objects. So if you're meditating and you look around different things and you're not mindful, then you get distracted. So what the Buddha is telling us, as long as you reflect impermanence, you're safe. Your mind doesn't run out there. You keep your mind within and you're watching very clearly, you're monitoring what's going on. So these are 4 ways you keep this. Of course you can go beyond this. Okay, let's say we go beyond this 4, what's the next one? Anyone? Yeah?
The feeling.
Well, after contact, there is feeling, right? You feel you like it, you don't like it, and then craving, and then clinging, and then suffering, So that becomes the 12 links. So here we just don't want it to be too complicated. We just take 4 of these and we use as a reflection. In fact, just this first part, the eye, there's a sutta just for this only. The Anicca Chakku Sutta. You reflect on it, just the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind is permanent. Okay? Can you imagine you reflect that way regularly? The Buddha says we attain stream meaning in this life. There is another verse in this first part. Look at that, section 4, near the bottom, last 3 lines. And whatever feeling that arises dependent on the eye contact, whether pleasant or painful, or neither pleasant nor painful, that too he discerns as being impermanent, just as it truly is. So actually it's not 4 columns, 5 columns. You add 1 more. Feeling. Okay? Feeling. Right? So you stop here. Because the next one is craving already. Craving is a bit tricky, right? So you stop at feeling, then you're safe. As long as you say, it's just a feeling. So this one is very nice, I'm letting it go. This one is not nice, I'm letting it go. This one neutral, I'm letting it go. And you're safe. So they're all together. But you don't say 20 elements. I don't think there is any term for that. But anyway, we are going into the different model already here. So feeling is the 5th. We can use element in the free sense if you like, 5th item, 5th aspect. Okay, any question on this first part? It's very important to understand this is practice. Just reflecting on the 5 aspects of our eye. Okay? And then the ear. Next time you have trouble with the ear, you reflect. The ear is impermanent. Now just read the reflection is enough for the moment. The ear is impermanent. Sound is impermanent. Ear consciousness is impermanent. Ear contact is impermanent. So the Buddha says any of this will appear to you, become visible to you. So that's what becoming sick is about, you know. It's no big deal really. In a sense, it's a joy to be sick, you know. You discover the Buddha's teaching is true. Right? Imagine if I had perfect eyesight at the moment I die, I'll never know the eye is impermanent. You know? That's why the Buddha's death is so meaningful. Some people just can't believe that Buddha died, you know. And they came to a point once in my reflection I wrote, the Buddha is dead, long live the Dharma. You know? The Buddha's death is never in vain. He dies, proving that the Dharma is true. It's true of everything. So here, let's say we have ear problem. I said, wow, what the Buddha says is true. The ear is impermanent. You know? One day I woke up, my right ear, I couldn't hear things. It's very funny, you know. You only hear with one side, because the right ear filled with wax. And you get sound through the forehead, very funny, you know. So, the worst thing to do is go on digging with a cotton bud. Doctor said, don't do it, we still do it anyway, doctor is not watching. So, you can see I went to see the GP. The GP says, this is the GP at the polyclinic, not the private one. The private one, you take this big machine and a plunger and squeeze it and everything comes out. Very nice to look at, colorful. So, the GP at the polyclinic says, oh, we can't do this, you know, because it's too complicated when anything happens. We don't have the instruments to help you. Very reassuring. So they go and see the specialist. And then what's interesting is the GP uses warm water, squirts in and everything comes out, you know. Whereas at the specialist place, they use cold water. So, or was it warm water? Now I'm getting forgetful about this. Anyway, everything came out and it's very nice and clear. So there you are, the ear is impermanent. Can you imagine some people don't even know what's wrong with it? They thought they're actually deaf. And then they leave it there and the wax hardened, that makes it worse. So all you need to do is see a doctor and then you get back up hearing. But you can't, it goes. And then the sound that you hear. Right? You know, I'm amazed at sound. You know, you have this little ear stud or ear plug. You hold that and you don't hear anything. But you put into your ear, wow, the most beautiful music, conversation can be heard. So after I say, imagine, it's like those devas talking, you don't hear them, but it's there. Right? So, okay, this is a different kind of reflection, but we're talking about the range of the ear. Right? Sound is impermanent, sound changes. And then where you direct your attention again, and then this experience of sound is impermanent. And then you begin to like, dislike, or don't care about it. That's the feeling aspect. So this reflection on your ears. If you're a musician, this is a very good reflection. This is nirvana for the musicians, musical people, section 5. Section 6, the nose. Okay, look at section 6. True reality is visible to him, thus. The nose is impermanent. So, in other words, you realize if you're mindful, the nose is impermanent. The nose faculty is impermanent. Or for some people boxers who lose their nose, they have to replace their nose. Or there was someone in French literature called Cyrano de Bergerac. He had to duel with someone, and the French are very good with their swords. There's a kind of sword called a rapier. It's very sharp. So this poor man's nose got cut off, you know? And he has to put a kind of wooden nose. So it's impermanent, it's not real nose. For him it's a wonderful reflection. And then smell is impermanent. If you like nice smell, that means you are vulnerable to bad smell too, even worse. and then where you direct your attention for smell. And then there is this experience of smell, then you like it, you don't like it, and you don't care about it. So, same thing with smells. And then the next on 7th tongue, if you are focused, then true reality appears to you. The tongue is impermanent, taste is impermanent, tongue consciousness is impermanent, tongue contact is impermanent, and whatever feeling that arises dependent on this tongue contact, whether pleasant or painful or new or neither pleasant nor painful, that too is discerned as being impermanent, just as it is. Notice the template, the words are all visible, seeing. And yet it applies to eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. So here is not the seeing with the eye, seeing with the mind, understanding. Again here, in other words, what the Buddha is teaching us is to fully experience what is taste. Right? So there you are, basically enjoy your food, So when you taste, what do you notice? Because of Buddhism, I've learned to enjoy my food very much, And that's the problem, I'm suffering for it, putting on weight now. So, for example, you have fruits, and then you have this nice soup, and then it's a pizza, So you eat in a certain sequence, right? My wife is different, just amazing, she can take it in any sequence, okay? I can't, I must take it in a certain sequence. For example, once I take the fruits, I'll never eat anything else, because that marks the end of the meal. Maybe that's the way the monks do it, so kind of so training it. So what I'm saying is that the tongue seems to, it's more sensitive to certain kinds of food at certain times. And everyone has a certain sequence, they can notice that. So, of course you can, if you really want to be a food taster, you might wash your mouth with water and then come back. It's too troublesome anyway. My point is, I'm talking about more from a reflection point of view. You begin to notice taste can change. Tastes are relative, right? Of course, when you're hungry, everything tastes nice. But that's another thing you learn. So these are all reflections on taste. Reflection on the meal table. Okay, then you have the body. Number 8. We reflect. The body is impermanent. We realize that. Okay, body changes. Body parts weaken. I have this very strange pain in my right shoulder, and yet I can move my arm in almost every way except backwards. I can carry any normal weight, but there is this sharp pain inside. And I've gone to see the specialist. The specialist says, well, your bone is degenerating, we can't do anything about it. And you pay money for that. So they can't do anything about it. But of course they do say exercise a bit, it helps. Yeah, it does help. So there you are, reflection. The body is impermanent. The body also degenerates, right? So that's on the body. Touch is impermanent. Like touch here means a sensation of touching, right? Temperature, and so on. Touch is very interesting in the sense that you're not feeling anything out there in the world, What you're really feeling is your sensation on your skin. That's giving you the message. Okay? So, body consciousness is impermanent, depends where you direct your attention. Notice, for example, you have this hot bowl of soup, you have no way of carrying it, So you tell yourself, I have no choice but I have to lift it and quickly transfer it, before I can sense the heat. Now if you do that fast enough and nobody comes and block your way, it's safe. You just carry the bowl of soup and soup is on the table, and there you are, you don't feel the heat, not much anyway. Otherwise, you have to get cloth or something, So again here is, the feeling comes not really from the bowl, but it's from your fingers. So you reflect that way, impermanent. Then body contact is impermanent, the way the body sustains, right? Alright, so these are the 5 physical senses. Now, if you look at all these descriptions, there's this consciousness underlying everything. So that's what I mean, the mind is always there. The mind is behind all these 5 senses. The mind makes you experience all these things. And now we come to the mind itself. So when you come to the mind, that means that we shut down the 5 physical senses. The mind deals with itself. Thinking, for example. Okay, now we reflect. The mind is impermanent. Thought is impermanent. Mind consciousness is impermanent. Mind contact is impermanent. And whatever feeling that arises dependent on this mind contact, whether pleasant or painful or neither pleasant or painful, that too he discerns as being impermanent, just as it truly is. This is the most amazing passage, the whole sutta. There are at least 4 important statements here. So there are 4 aspects of the mind which psychologists are still discussing today. First, you have the mind itself, and then you have thought, and then you have mind consciousness. So thought and mind consciousness are different things. And there is mind contact, right? Well, they're not actually different things. Rather, they are different part of the processes of the mind working, right? So the Abhidhamma will give you the diagrams to show you the different thought moments. They're all impermanent. The mind has to be impermanent for us to make sense of our experience. Otherwise, there's nothing to experience. How is the mind impermanent? How is thought impermanent? I get up in the morning with this fantastic idea for a reflection. Now I have 2 kinds of reflections. One is the very simple, very easy reflection, simplified, which I put on Facebook. I try not to make it more than 1.5 pages, and I always look for a nice picture to go with it. I notice most people like the picture more than the words anyway. It doesn't matter. There are people who do read words too. And the other one is more difficult. That's the one I write for the weekly reflection. Sometimes the idea is so wonderful. I say, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to write, okay? And then I have my breakfast, I go to the toilet, I read my newspapers, and I say, what was that idea? It's gone. I can't remember. So I have to, what do? I got to go back to the scene of the crime, as I said. So I sit back, I say, okay, there I was, I just got up, and there was something nice I didn't think about. And I realized, if you really want to get back this lost memory, there's nothing you can do about it. The idea is not to do anything at all. Just sit back, relax, and clear your mind of all thoughts. It's like you drop something on the floor. You've got to remove things, then only you'll find it. Right? So you don't think other things. This thing will lead you to more confusion. So clear your mind completely, and then this image will come back. So, that's the one, right? And then this time you better go straight away to the computer and write your reflection, right? So that's how you get back these lost memories. Okay? So they're impermanent, but you can get them back. Right? And so we end this part. So the last line says, cultivate samadhi, bhikshus. Bhikshus, of course, Buddha is addressing us. I have revised the translation. True reality, bhikshus, is visible to one with samadhi. So if you meditate, you kundajana, you have calm and clarity of the mind, you come out of the meditation, you can see impermanence more clearly. Meditation helps you to see the truth of impermanence more clearly. The second sutta is all the same, only the theme is different. Everything repeats. The only word that is changed, instead of samadhi, you have the word patisalana, solitude. It's as if the Buddha is saying, you can't meditate, no excuse. You can still become streamina if you practice patisalana, you practice solitude. That means sitting in a quiet place by yourself, not engaging in anything to the eye, nose, tongue, body, mind, just sitting quietly, just calmly reflecting. So you can say, you can show reflection if you like. So just because you can't meditate doesn't mean you cannot attain some spiritual level. You can. You got to learn to calm your mind, let go of other thoughts, right? So people who say they can't meditate, read Jiva Kambhavana Sutta 2. You can still reflect on the impermanence of all the 6 senses and true reality will arise to you. So what the Buddha is saying, you can attain at least stream winning. So let me just read the closing part of the second sutta, section 10. What page is that? Section 10? 161. Oh, okay. The last sentence says, cultivate devotion to solitude, bhikshus. For true reality, bhikshus, appears to one in solitude. There you go. Solitude of the mind. Your mind not troubled by music, not troubled by smell, taste, touch, and so you just calm peaceful. On the other hand, even if you are invaded by these other 5 physical senses, you can still reflect on any of them as being impermanent. It's also possible. So basically here the teaching means spend quiet time with yourself and you will discover the Buddha's teaching of true reality. And there you are, you finished today's study. Right, good time. In good time too. It's about 12 right now. Okay, any questions or feedback?
Piya, samadhi is mental stillness.
Yeah, that's one translation.
Patisarana is solitude of mind. I can't see the distinction.
Okay, put it this way. Samadhi is also a word for meditation. In Thai they say Nang Samadhi. Okay, that means meditate. So the first sutta refers to meditation, up to jhana, right? Whereas the second sutta, I would say, is for those who can't meditate, right? So next time any of your friends say, "Oh, I can't meditate," okay, ask him or her, say, "Can you sit alone, quiet, beautiful place," right? And then you forget all the other, don't get lost in all the other 5 senses. Just reflect impermanent. You can use your 5 senses if you like. For example, you're in the garden, you look at the flower, you look very closely, you see, oh, beautiful flower, but the next day you come, it's wilted, impermanent. Right? So, if you are regular in the temple, those days, people will come to the temple, they come early, and they will throw away all those rotting flowers. The flowers, they were very beautiful when they first brought there, but after one day, the smell is terrible, and they start wilting. So don't get angry, don't start cursing, say, oh, what kind of bad smell. You reflect, you say, wow, look at these flowers. The Dhammapada is that, so these flowers are beautiful ones, and now it's all smelly and rotten, and we will throw them away. So you reflect, say, we are also like this. We all grow old, we change, right? We decay. We are like that. And then we are reborn, new flowers appear. Okay? Alright, is that clear enough? Patisarana is solitude.
So that is actually a lower level progress to.
Well, yeah, if you like, rather, I would say 2 aspects of practice. There are those who are the meditative type, then there are those who are not, so they spend quiet time. I think usually we do both.
So Patisarana will not lead to jhana?
No, usually no. Unless it just comes by itself, and the person really does it very well. But it is a kind of focused action, right? So, simply put, Patisarana will lead you to stream winning. That means you also can get once returning. Whereas if you want to attain non-returning and arahathood, you need samadhi, you need jhana. Okay. Any other question, feedback?
I know it's a question I don't know whether I should ask, but people ask me, especially the non-Buddhists, because if I talk about mind, the question is ask me, where is your mind?
Question wrongly put. Just because of the words, we cannot, for example, if I ask you, why is it that 1 + 1 cannot be equals to 3? Then you say, of course, if you're a little witty, you can say, why not? 1 father, 1 mother, you get another child with 3. What's wrong with that? There you are. But that doesn't help. Just being funny. No, the Buddha is very clear about questions wrongly put. some questions have no answer. For example, why do people fall in love? Very hard to answer. 1,000 reasons if you like. So, when we meet someone, we usually ask, okay, depends what we ask. That will also show intention. If I meet you, I ask you, who are you? Wow, that's like status thing, I want to know what's your name, why are you talking to me, any titles, right? Who are you? So in Buddhism, we rarely ask that kind of question. Then there's the second kind of question. What are you? Well, that sounds terrible too. Of course, a monk probably smiles and says, oh, I'm five aggregates, right? So that is a better question. What are you? But again, in the wrong context, it means something else, right? Now, okay, when we ask where is the mind, then we're assuming that the mind is a thing. Where did I put the mind? Right? Remember that famous Chinese cartoon about, I keep calling him an RQ, but it's someone else. He forgets. He keeps forgetting things, So where's my mind? So, first answer, if you like, you can say, the mind is not a thing. The mind is changing all the time. So if something is changing, you cannot ask why. You must understand the question, the notion of a question wrongly put. And the next thing you say is my favorite answer. The right question is itself the answer. Think about that. Say, that one I got no answer for you. Go back, think about it. The right question is itself the answer. So in other words, in life, it is not finding the answers. It is learning to ask the right questions. I really miss Miss Quack. We should stop taking notes. You are the one taking notes now. Okay, that's good.
I used not to take notes.
No. You see the thing now. Asking the right questions. That's what the Buddha did, Why is there suffering? And then Zen. He realized what he must do. So ask the right questions. Sometimes answers are not very helpful, but the questions are the solution. Anything else to raise?
We have this concept of impermanence. It can be very difficult to accept to a person who has suffered very serious injuries. You remember we have a chap called Jason Chi, naval officer. He was on board the ship and then the cable cut 2 legs and cut off his left arm, leaving only his right arm. And now he's playing table tennis with Singapore. So to a person like Jason Chi, if we tell him everything is impermanent, I think it's very difficult for him to accept.
I don't know. I think to ask him first. The fact that he's playing table tennis means he has accepted it. He's doing fine. Of course, it's not something easy. I'm sure he's learned a lot. I think we have a lot to learn from him. We've got to ask him, how does he feel? I think he'll give a better answer than what I can give. Obviously, he has, resolved the issues for him to go that far, play table tennis. So I really don't know. I can't speak for him. Yeah, it's not, you don't go to someone who's suffering and say, suffering is painful,
Suffering is painful.
I mean, it's theoretical to you, but it's real to that person. So instead, you should be asking that person, how do you feel? Learn from that person who's suffering. So it's not always telling things to people. Sometimes we have to ask questions. I learned a lot about this on Facebook, For example, on Facebook, all these people who are trolls, you have a lot of power on Facebook. You can just zap them and they're gone. They don't trouble you anymore. But then the others come, you see. So I asked some of this. Some of the younger people are quite wise. So I asked them who are more experienced with Facebook, I said, what do you do with these people? So one of them wrote to me and said, these people, you keep throwing them out and in the end you have no one to be your friend, you see. So on the other hand, they have reasons to talk the way they talk, and there are some things they don't like, So if you learn to understand that and then you answer them in a certain way, you make friends. You can change them, in fact. Alright? So I said, wow, that's very right. So this answer came at a good time because I was on the verge of throwing out this very obnoxious person. But I said, okay, I'll give him a chance. Okay, that's one. Then another case is I started finally after many months, I activated what's called a page. I don't even know the difference between an account and a page. Now I know. An account is where you can, anyone can post anything. And a page is where you have more control. So I call it early Buddhism page, right? And a lot of people like that. So then I have a few friends, one from Canada especially. He says, "Oh, I'm so happy you have this early Buddhism page. Now we just discuss Dharma among like-minded friends. Let's leave out all these trolls and unhappy people." I said, yeah, that's a good idea. That's very true. But I don't think we can cut off everyone else and then, live in a wonderful island where we just talk what we like to talk, or friend, which is good, yes, it is possible too. In fact, it is possible with the early Buddhism page. But I will maintain the Buddhist, this other account, the Dhammathara account, for the simple reason that is how I met you as a person. I made friends with people. First time we make some friends, they're not that friendly. We are suspicious of each other. We wonder, who is this guy? Then slowly we gain confidence with people. That's how we make friends. So if we cut off, we say, okay, these are the only kinds of people I'll be friends. You never make friends because you can't define friends. You don't even look for friends. You cannot look for friends. There's only one way. You make friends. Make friends means you get to know people. So you got to give them the space to make mistakes, get upset, and then you got to be very patient with them. And then from there they will change. So this is a way of, you learn from them, you see. So if you are willing even to learn from them, I think you'll be able to teach others now. Because if I say, I am 68 years old, so you are very young, let me tell you what to do, I think that's going to be difficult for a lot of people. So
the obnoxious people that you find, they are your teachers?
Yeah, to some extent, they are teachers.
And you also don't want a situation of group thinking, like ancestors.
Yes. And to allow people to tell the truth in a nice way, then from there you find other people may say something which seems nasty. It's not really an affront. It's just that the way they're saying this is their opinion. So from there, if you're really good, you have a really good friend, and this person may talk in strong words. You still, it's a friend, and you don't get angry with him. But if you do not regard someone as a friend, even a polite word may say, "Hey, you are being sarcastic to me," right? So the idea of friendship is a very wonderful concept which we've got to build up. All right. Anything else? I think that's quite a good session we have. So we end here then. Okay, so today we have studied two suttas, the Jiwaka Ambhavana Sutta 1 and 2, which teaches us a very important teaching on the reflection on impermanence. How through meditation or through simple solitary practice we can reflect on this idea of change and impermanence, and in that way prepare ourselves for first step to awakening in this very life itself. Reflecting in this way is very good karma. By the power of this wonderful good karma, may we be empowered with courage and wisdom to aspire at least to string winning in this life itself. And by the same token, by the power of the three jewels, let us cultivate loving kindness to ourselves, to be strong and mindful and compassionate to those especially who need the Dharma. And also loving kindness to all our loved ones, people who care for us and people we care for. May they be well and happy. To those who have been supportive of us or kind to us. And those who are practicing the Dharma in this life itself, may they face no hindrance, may they awaken in this life itself. And finally, by the power of the three jewels, may those who are facing difficulties, who are lost, may they too see the true teaching, the Buddha Dharma in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.